So, hi, I'm Mary Baca with Remotely Unique, and I'm in the process of doing an equine series leading up to an event called Rescued Hearts Film Documentary Screening. I'm hosting this documentary in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and so kind of as a tribute to not only the screening, but really to horses, right? That's my why. That's why I'm here doing this series. I've been interviewing people that have a passion for horses in various ways. And so today I'm going to be interviewing Richard Emery. I'm excited about this interview because Richard and I both do energy work on horses and we both are intuitive. And so I'm just looking forward to the conversation because it's not every day that I can talk to people about those things that totally get where I'm coming from. So welcome, Richard. Thank you for joining me. And I guess you're like the third nurse that I've interviewed, which is kind of interesting. And so tell us what kind of nursing you practice.
Well, currently I am a dispensing nurse at a methadone and Suboxone clinic. So it's an
Okay.
outpatient opioid alcohol treatment facility.
Okay, substance abuse. Okay, that's another thing we
Yep.
have in common then. And how did you get started in nursing? Did that come through when you were a medic for the Army Reserves? What was vice versa? Tell us
Yeah,
just like
I
what
was
order.
correct. I was actually I was a medic in the Army Reserves for 10 years. And through that process, I decided to go to nursing school. And then got out of the reserves after serving 10 years and kind of missed it. So instead of going back in the reserves, I joined the Virginia Army National Guard. And
Okay.
so and did 14 years with them, still as a medic. I got to the rank of Staff Sergeant, E6. And so uh, I actually also became a massage therapist on humans during that process, during that time.
Yeah, what made you interested in doing that, in doing massage
Well,
on
yeah,
humans?
and it was interestingly enough, we were helping out at a long distance race, going up into the mountains, and we were helping with traffic control, et cetera, et cetera. And I was one of the medics there. And there was actually a massage therapist there working on the participants. So I picked her brain and found out that there was a school in we actually had a satellite office in Winchester where I was living at the time. The headquarters was in Charlottesville, Virginia. So I decided I wanted to, just felt like there was something missing in my life. And so I went and looked into the massage therapy and said, this is it. And so I continued with my nursing, obviously, because it pays the bills, but started my body work career as a human massage therapist.
How long did you do that?
Um, Probably about 3 years. I didn't actually have my own business, although they did teach a business aspect. I worked for a few people here and there, and then also did my own thing on the side where people knew I was a massage therapist. And so, I helped them out. And then at one point, what happened was I was actually, because the massage therapy was through the State Board of Nursing in Virginia. I was paying for my nursing board, my nursing license, renewing that, and then also renewing my massage therapy license. Um, and I lived out in the country. Long story short, I, I I lost connection and then promised myself I'd go back and renew, and I just never did. Life gets in the way, and you know, uh, other things happened in my life, and so I was like, well, that's fine. I still helped out family and friends, but couldn't charge them money.
Right.
So,
So just kind
but
of organically kind of phased out of your life.
correct.
So you've been a healer with humans for a long time. What pulled you in the direction to help horses?
Well, I was receiving at one point in time while uh, uh, prior to getting into what I'm doing now, I was actually a correctional nurse. And during that time, just a lot of stresses and stuff. So I started get receiving craniosacral work,
Mm-hmm.
and my I thought it was an amazing experience. And I said, I wonder if you could do this on horses. Now, at that time, I think I was volunteering at therapeutic riding centers. I volunteered for our local horse rescue called Severn, Shenandoah Valley Equine Rescue, and was just trying to learn about horses. And I believe at that time I was probably even taking riding lessons. And so I was still in the very beginning stages of my horse career, as it were. Um, and I thought, I wonder, yes, like I said, I wonder if you can do this on horses. And lo and behold, you can. I started looking into that, and was planning at least on paper, planning on going to a couple schools. I just hadn't decided yet. And then a friend of mine um, told me about a young lady who lives out in Washington State, and she had gone to the program, um, the Equine Natural Movement School, Equine Body. I'm sorry, the Equine
Equine
Natural
Natural
Movement.
Movement.
Yes, thank you.
I got that from your page, so that's the only
Correct.
reason I know. Yeah.
Yeah. So from that, I actually looked into that, and this was right around the beginnings of COVID timeframe. And so, as most people did, that we actually got a little bit of money. And so I saved that money and was able to then attend school out in Washington State. So,
That was a
and
really
which
good way to make use of that money, was to go to
absolutely.
how did you find that program in particular? Like what drew you to that program in particular?
Well, I realized that because I was a human massage therapist one time, and we learned a lot about connective tissue and the myofascial release techniques, that I thought that this school was right up my alley, as it were. Um,
Mhm.
so I was like, well, I already know about that, and so I just wanted to incorporate that into working with the horses, knowing and realizing the benefit of myofascial release.
Yeah. And so I really am interested, like what was that training like? And part of the reason I'm asking is because not that I would choose that training because it's in Washington, but I'm looking for a training to integrate into my energy work that I do. And so like I really want to know like what that program was like and how long did you go? What were the courses that you had to take?
Um, so there's three modules or three levels, and obviously each one builds upon the other ones. Um, it took me about 2.5 years. The it's about it's a 6 day program or 5 day program, with one day in the middle of the week to sort of take a break. Um, it's run by Joseph and Jacqueline Freeman. And so Joseph works with the students related to teaching us anatomy and physiology, teaching the biomechanics, and then also obviously teaching us the fascia work or the connective
Mhm.
tissue work. Um, Jacqueline teaches all just strictly the business side of the house, how to run a business, how to start a business, how to write articles for either
Mhm.
papers. Um, Also, again, how to run a business of your own if you wanted to go that far.
That's really great that they include that because a lot of people don't know how to start a
That's correct.
business or anything like that.
Yep.
And so what would you say, are some of the highlights that you got from that program?
Um, I learned I learned so much.
Yeah.
I think by by the second, well, yeah, by the second module, even being at home and working with horses, I think I started inadvertently dabbling with energy work. Um,
Hmm.
and of course, it's all intention because you can't reach the fascia that's wrapped around the organs, as an example. So again, it's
Right.
intention. You're you're using your hands-on and basically your energy work
Yes.
to release and soften the fascia around the organs and within the deeper aspects of the tissue, and so you can work the with your hands, you can manipulate the fascia, the surface fascia, but
Yes.
for you to be able to really soften and manipulate and free up the connective tissue that's deep, then again, it's your intent. Um, and so by the third module that we had, it was really evident that I was getting more and more into energy work. My Joseph and I, so he was, I don't know, let me tell you a story a little bit. It was our second to last day. Um, I had this young mare, and when I was initially introduced to her, she paced and paced and paced and paced. She wouldn't settle down. Now, and I initially put my hands on her, and I could just I could sense that she was in a lot of pain.
Hmm.
So my teacher, my Joseph he's like, just start somewhere. I said, because I said, I don't know where to start. He's like, as long as you start somewhere, then what'll happen is the body will start to unwind.
Yes.
And then you'll get released more and more and more. So I did that. And so as the week progressed, she became much more settled, much more relaxed. She released more, yawned, stretching, etc. The last day, I had her in crossed eyes I was working with the other three or two or three other students. They had their horses, and my horse was just nice and calm, was almost asleep. And then she started to pace back and forth. And I
Uh,
was like, what's going on? So then Joseph said, Rich, I just released something on her back. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay. And so she was feeding off of my energy and in turn was feeding off of Joseph's energy. And which then that's what made her like get really restless. As soon as he stopped, then
mm,
she actually settled back down. And I realized that like, yeah, I really want to delve into this energy aspect. My only I wished I had known what I knew by the third level and my second level, because one of my horses that I decided not to pick had cast himself in a stall about a week prior, and he wouldn't let me touch him at all, hands on. He was just that sore, and if I had known or was, I guess, better equipped with my energy work and was more, um, I guess, if I believed in myself at that time more, then I would have kept him as a student horse and would have just worked my energy. So,
yeah.
yeah,
It's
so
amazing. You probably know this and have experienced it, but you cannot even lay hands. So, like if you have a horse that's very sensitive, or a human for that matter, you don't even have to lay hands like that. You mentioned intention, and that is such a powerful word, but like so once because once you're on somebody or a horse or an animal's energy field, like you can work with them and not even have to touch them. You can also use a body as a surrogate body. So you can even, like when I'm balancing energy in an animal, I'll even like muscle test and use my own body if, if touching that being or the animal is not possible. And are you familiar with that? Have you experienced that?
oh, I do it all the time
Yeah,
actually.
it's
So
pretty
I have a
awesome.
it is. So I have a client. I have two clients that are together. They're a mare and a gelding. The mare absolutely took to my energy and took to my body work, hands on. The gelding wasn't so like my first session with him, he was absolutely like so relaxed and he released a lot. My second, and I was working with them weekly. The second time I came out, he was extremely restless, very uncomfortable with my touch, but was really receptive. As a matter of fact, when I was working with the mare, um, he was standing within 3 feet of us, just receiving all kinds of like was having releases after releases after releases. But again, he was so emotionally and physically wrapped up that he just couldn't let me touch him. So
Yes.
he would pace and he would pace. And so he also actually, I recommended that he receive some animal communication. So I recommended somebody to the owner. And so they had 3 sessions. And actually, after the third animal communication session, he was actually able to release a lot of his emotional stuff. And now I work with both every other week, and he's extremely much more receptive to my touch. And I still can't really work around his neck and his head. And I think that that has to do with some trauma that he experienced when he was young. But we're getting there.
Yeah. And the beautiful thing too is then you don't have to feel restricted. I mean, there's different ways that you can work with the animal, with the horse. And, I remember I chose, so I was flipping through some of your pictures to integrate today. When my producer does the final edit, that's when you'll see the pictures. And there was one that I could totally relate to because you were just in the zone, right? Like, you get into that zone. I know how that is. And it's like your eyes were closed and you were touching a white horse, working on, not just touching, right? Doing your work, doing your energy work. And it's just amazing to be in that zone. Like that is, it's for me, I can't even put it into words, right? Some of those moments are hard to even put into words. But that's one picture you'll see included because I thought, he's in the zone, doing his stuff. So for you, what is that experience like if you can put it into words?
It's, uh, I really can't. Other than it's just absolutely amazing, and I'm still really new. I'm like I don't want to say an infant now, probably a toddler at this point, of where everything that I do with horses, um, and is just absolutely when they have a release or they have a stretch or they go to sleep, um, or even are just completely and utterly zoned out to where they're even drooling, then it makes my heart happy. So it's
Yes,
not necessarily finding the words, but it makes my soul and my heart
the
happy that
feelings.
I was able to do that for them.
Yeah, I know. I had an equine assisted therapy session right before this, before coming here, and where I was able to help the horse and help the human, and it just makes my heart feel so good. I mean, it's what I feel drawn to do, and it just touches my soul. It's soul filling. This kind of work. It's work I've been doing with humans for many, many, many years, and then and on dogs, and then now more recently horses. I feel like everything in divine order, right? So since last year, I got introduced to horses on this level, saw this documentary that I'm hosting, and I'm hosting it because I came back so inspired from that documentary. I was like, I have to do that work. I didn't even know what like that meant, truly, right? Yeah, and that's one thing I love about Facebook is being able to, I mean, when would I have ever met you or connected with you? I never would have. And so I love that about Facebook is being able to connect with like-minded people, that you can reach out to and connect on some levels that not just I can't connect with just anybody on this level. So It's
right?
amazing.
Yeah,
Let's see.
it's kind of hard to describe, especially with folks that don't quite understand it. They try to, so but it's interesting too because I actually my one client, she's an engineer, by
Mhm.
trade.
Very left brain.
She's very intelligent and she knows about energy and she's trying to and she knows the scientific aspect of energy,
Hmm.
but I think through myself and through others, she's actually grasping the concept of emotional energy as it relates to the body work that I do with her horses. And
Hmm.
she's extremely appreciative. She actually even has two donkeys, and I absolutely love. I don't. She. I don't even charge for them at all. But I just like they hang out with me as I'm working with the other two horses. They're in my pocket. As a matter of fact, the other day, one of her donkeys pointed to the barrel of one of the horses I was working with. And I thought maybe initially I thought, well, don't bite her. So I kind of nosed her off a little bit, then that donkey actually spoke to me.
Yeah.
He's like, no, no, I'm just trying to help. I was like, oh, okay, sorry. I said, well, go ahead. So he pointed out an area on the barrel of the horse, and I was like, oh, okay. So I put my hands there, and what a release this horse had. And I'm
Hmm.
like, so I looked at the donkey and I went, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah,
donkey
it's so
walked away, and
amazing.
right, and I
I'm
was
always
like,
so grateful too. I always am, just very mindful of thanking the horses or, whoever participates because it's almost like magical, some of the things that can happen. Truly, it's like I'll walk away, and I'm sure you'll be able to relate to this. I'll walk away from certain situations and be like, wow, did that just happen? That was so amazing.
yeah, absolutely.
What are some like equine clients or situations that stand out, those, aha moments or like the donkey one that you just shared, where that just stand out in your mind, in your heart.
There, there are just so many, but
Yeah,
um, oh, let's see.
probably
I
all of
know
them.
pretty much.
Yeah.
So in the questions that you gave me, um, one of the first things I was really still new at working with horses. I was actually taking care of four horses for a family, doing their feedings and just watching over them and taking care of them. And um, at the time, my mom was passing away,
Mm.
and we might have to come back to this one. Um, and so I was having a moment in this one mare stall. It was actually some three geldings and a mare. So and this, I guess, let me go back to this mare and I had a really cool relationship, and she was teaching me things and she boundaries, et cetera, et cetera. We would sort of play this game where it was time to go out to pasture, and she would literally stop at the door of the barn and would not move. And it was a game to her, but she was teaching me things. She was teaching me how to be more confident in my presentation and how I handled myself with her. And, after a while, she's like, okay, I'll give in and we'll go out to pasture. So we became very close. Um, so I was having a moment in her
Do you want
stall,
to share her name or can you?
Avalon. And
Okay.
so I could smell. Now I'm in a barn, so you have the horse smell, but this horse smell was extremely pronounced. Like it was in my nose. And so I thought that's kind of weird. So I thought, well, she's probably standing somewhere behind me. And I open my eyes and she's to my left, and she's standing there just as close to me as possible without touching me. And she turned and she looked at me. Of course, I had tears in my eyes. And excuse me.
It's okay. Take your time.
And she took her nose and she wiped my face. And I said, "Wow, that was kind of random."
Yeah.
And then I said, "Okay." And I said, "Cool." So then, no, she actually did it on my other side of my face. So she actually had to reach a little bit to the right side of my face. And I said, "Well," and she turned, she looked at me, and she said, "This is the first time I ever heard a horse talk to me." She's like, "You good?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm good."
Mm.
She was, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yep, I'm sure." She literally turned right around and went to the stall door to be let out to pasture.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whew, I'm getting chills. Yeah, that's amazing.
um, yeah, it's just that was one of the big ones that I, remember.
And thank you for
And just,
sharing that. That's a very intimate memory, I'm sure, and on so many levels, right?
yep. So, um, so yeah, it that made me that made me realize for the first time that I might have a gift of a little bit of a gift of communication, and when you're new at that kind of, those nuances, you think you talk yourself out of it. Like, no, that was
Yeah.
because I'm hearing my voice in my head, but
Mhm.
then through time and through experience, I realized that yes, I'm hearing my voice, but it's actually them talking to me.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. I know when I teach my intuition class, people are always, and not even just in the class, people always doubt themselves right in the beginning. We all go through that, and but yeah, when you hear spirit talk or animals, it does sound like your voice, but you know that it's not because there's sometimes I'll use words or hear words and I'm like, I would never use that word. I even have to go to my phone and look it up because I don't even know what the word means. And
yeah.
that's pretty awesome, like confirmation that I'm like, yeah, that was not by accident because I don't even know what that word is.
I guess another time, and this was, it ended up being an end of life session, because the horse was extremely. I don't think we knew how sick the horse was, but it was a rescue horse. It was actually at somebody's farm. And we were talking about energy work. I actually am certified now in what they call IET, which is, well, there's two forms of IET. There's Tom Maze's IET, but the other IET is integrated energy therapies, which you call in the angels
Mhm.
to help you with healing.
Mhm.
So it's been around for quite a long time. Um, so with that, my at that time she wasn't my teacher yet. She was just a friend. So I was using my intuition and my healing that I knew, again through intuition, and she was using the IET, integrated energy therapies. We were working with this horse, and we were pulling a lot of just stuff. And I put my hands on this horse and felt a significant amount of pain, to where I became emotional. Um,
Mhm.
but we were actually able to help him at least feel better for a couple of weeks before he ended up passing away.
Mhm.
He was just sick, and I don't think we knew that as much. So that was another aha sort of moment where, again, I was actually able to use. They believed in my work, and I was like, well, okay, and so um, yeah,
And do you clear your own energy after you
I
do this
do.
kind of work? Yeah, it's so
I do.
important.
I learned that when I became a massage therapist a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
But I had an experience where I didn't clear my energy.
Hmm.
I was actually working with a friend of mine. I released a knot on her shoulder, and her neck, and I felt it pop, and I literally felt whatever she had in her um, go into me, and I had a headache for 3 whole days.
Yeah.
And so I hydrated and I ate, what I ended up having to do is actually meditate and do focus on a candle that just or a bubble that just surrounded me, and then I sent it up into the air, and then and I popped the balloon or the bubble, and that took my headache away.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
So
so important. And I forget, I mean, when I'm on the days that I'm going to work on an animal or a human, I remember because it's part of the routine. But I've had to establish a routine because otherwise I forget. So I have a morning ritual and an evening ritual every day because I used to forget sometimes. And then I would feel the result of that, forgetting. So
yeah,
that's so important.
yeah. I
Tell
try to
us
stay.
about, go ahead.
Go
What are you
ahead.
going to say? No,
I
because
try to stay.
it's a different subject.
Yeah, I just try to stay grounded as much as possible.
Yeah. Well, I
And
know,
that,
right? That's the upkeep is trying to stay grounded so that there's not that much to clear. Tell us about
correct.
your grandpa. Tell us
Um,
about how horses, have been in your life.
well, actually, I didn't. So I knew, obviously, knew my grandfather, but I didn't know him back when he had horses. So a lot of the history that I get from, I got from my dad and my uncle. My grandfather used to work the Maine woods and cut down pulpwood, and before they had machines per se, they used to haul a lot of pulpwood out with the workhorses, and so back before they had tractor poles that they have nowadays, they used to have horse poles, so as competition.
Mm,
So he had two of his workhorses, I believe. And I don't want to say their names because I can't remember. So, um, but because he also had like a couple quarter horses or a Morgan and a quarter. But these two draft, mixes used to be his haulers, as they were. But he used to enter them into competitions, and he was very genteel. Where a lot of men back in the day used to be a little rough with their how
mm,
they trained horses or worked with them, but he was gentle. He he knew how to speak to them, and he trained them so well he could just, the little whip, he could just kind of just tap their hind end just a little bit, and just to get them to move. And half the time, he would just sort of hold it there. He wouldn't even have to touch them. And those horses performed, and he did really well for himself in those competitions. And so I have two cousins who also got into horse. They're from Maine, and they got into horses. And my one cousin, I believe she has, I think, at least six right now. So, and
oh,
she
wow.
used to compete. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you had posted that picture and were saying, oh, and you also had shared in that post that you drew horses since you were a child.
Yeah, I used to sketch and draw, basically horses. Well, yeah, horses in general, and we just do it freehand, actually.
So probably subliminally or subconsciously, you had this draw to horses since you were young, young, young,
Probably so. But then,
right?
my father was military, so we traveled a lot. Traveled to Germany and different places throughout the United States. And I didn't. I didn't get into horses. I loved horses, but didn't know how to get into them. There was nobody that I could team up with or was friends with that had horses, so it wasn't in my forefront of my brain all the time. Um, and I guess what happened was when I was working in corrections, I was actually sitting on the couch one day, and I'm like, all I'm doing is coming home and going to work, coming home, and going to work. So I need something to do to get me off the couch. So I randomly looked up something to do with horses. I can't even remember now how I got started, but I found a local therapeutic riding center, and I told her I didn't know anything about horses, and she's like, "That's okay, I'll teach you." And so she taught me to groom, and she taught me how to sidewalk with the students that we had, and that lit the fire, and I couldn't get enough. So I started volunteering at other places, and then also volunteered for about 3 years at the Virginia Tech Equine Hospital,
Mm.
and was doing their mare and foal watch. So I had the opportunity to sit with the newborn foals who were technically in crisis. I guess they had
Oh.
um, IVs, they had nasal cannulas, they had Foley catheters, and so
Mm.
we would, with the staff there, we would turn our patients, the foals, every 2 hours and check their vital signs, and also make sure that the mares were doing well. And if the foal was strong enough to nurse, we would actually get the foal up and let them nurse on their mom. If they couldn't, then we gave them, through a feeding tube, we gave them their nutrients.
So you've seen some very sick horses as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love doing it. I maybe hope to do it again, maybe next year again. Life circumstances prevented me to do it in the last couple of years, so I hope to
Mm.
get back into it because I really do enjoy it.
So I always ask, because I think it's always interesting to hear, what is your why? What's your why
Oh,
for doing what
why
you
is
do?
because, well, my why is because they do so much for us. They in some ways they tolerate us, um
Yeah.
you're working, you have a horse that's a therapeutic riding horse, and that horse is receiving so much energy from different people, um
Mhm.
plus they're physically on, riding trails, or if they're eventing, um, or doing dressage or hunter jumper, or if they're athletes, or even if they're retired. So this is my chance to sort of give back to them,
Mhm.
helping them move better, helping them feel better, helping them at some level get rid of maybe some of their traumas that they've had. And I think that that's why when I was working in the jail system and saw the trauma that a lot of the inmates or my patients had, and then transitioning into the horse world and realizing that some of the rescue horses had a lot of traumatic experiences.
Yes.
Um, and
Yeah.
then me just touching them, even without my knowledge and experience at the time, um, I guess seeing some results, or them having releases. Um,
Mhm.
it was so funny because when I first started this, real quick, I would put my hands on a horse and they would have the little muscle spasm twitching thing. And I thought I was hurting them, so I took my hands off.
Mhm.
Well, as time progressed and I was learning more, I realized that my hands were healing and they were having those releases intentionally. And
Right.
so I was like, wow. So that was eye opening for me. But yeah, I think the why is because I want to give back to them in a way, and pay it forward even, because of all the things that the gifts that they give us.
I think any animal that is used for therapy of any kind should have work done on themselves, right? Because they absorb all that energy. And I think a lot of times people don't think about that, and they just kind of go on, humans, right? Don't think about that. They just kind of go on with their day. And, and of course they need a release. Like, they pick up all of our stuff. And you're right. I would say, probably most, if not all, of rescue horses have been traumatized. They have their own trauma issues. And we're not even talking about like past life stuff, right? There's that whole realm of things too, in terms of some of the work that I've been able to do. And I'm sure you can relate, and you're probably doing, whether you know it or not. So it's so vast, and a world really that you can just expand in so many different directions. Like it's endless, it's limitless, which I love that as well, you know.
Absolutely, yeah, me too. And I'm looking forward to learning more, and having more, building my business more. And one of the things I definitely want to do One of my goals is to travel. I don't care really about teaching what I do. I'm not sure if I can teach what I do, but I want to travel and just be known and be able to have the opportunity to work even on higher level eventing horses. But I also love the opportunity when I can to work on um, somebody's family horse. One of my recent clients who just passed away was 31 years old.
Mm.
And so, and he was wonderful. He and I had great conversations. So, and I believe I helped him um, move better. He had had a pasture accident years ago and had pretty much all of the muscles on his left side of his shoulder was gone.
Mm.
But with the energy work and the body work that I did, I was able to free a lot of that area up, and he actually was able to move better, which in turn helped him feel better. You know, again, he was arthritic. You know, even if I did a little bit of energy work, um, and some body work in combination, he felt better, and it maybe alleviated some of the arthritic pain that he had to deal with.
One of the wonderful things is the body knows what it needs. So once you put it in a position where it can get that, like with the energy work, it's like it just opens up to all of that, and then amazing things like fascia moving, or I've even worked on people where like their body could be contorted, say from like sexual abuse, and then with energy work it like moves back into place. It will sound crazy to some people, but I know you don't think I'm crazy, and it's
No, not
pretty
at all.
amazing, so
Yeah,
yeah.
makes total sense.
Yeah. Well, keep on doing what you do, and I hope that, we will stay in contact, and thank you for coming on the show. Is there anything you would want to say in closing that you want the audience to hear about the work you do, about energy, about horses, equine?
Well, I guess it's funny. I guess, and my business name is Soul Shine Equine, and so where I got the name was or from is from the government mule song Soul Shine. It just it fit me perfectly, um, and again, it's just I love what I do. It has become my passion since about 2021. I realized, or even before that, actually, before I even went to school. And I appreciate the universe giving me, this opportunity, and I will honor it and do right by the horses, no matter what. So,
Yeah, and keep moving. I mean, I can hardly wait just to see how your journey just takes you to keep expanding. That's always, I bet you a year from now, who knows what you'll be doing? Who knows how you will have expanded, because that happens when we're open to it. So we're back with Richard Emery. He had something he wanted to share that I think is pretty important. So I wanted to give him the opportunity to do that. So go ahead, Richard.
yeah. So yeah, recently I wanted to add this. I had the opportunity to I was invited to go down to North Carolina, just outside of Hickory. There was a friend of mine. Her name is Kimberly Clark, and she owns Pachoka Retreat. She has a couple horses of her own there, plus a couple minis, and it's a very, very spiritual location where she's at. And I was down there the first time. It's back July 4th of last year, and it was just an amazing experience. She had had some sciatic issues, and so being the massage therapist that I am, I offered to work with her. A friend of hers came over, and she's trained in Reiki. So we actually had a really cool um, body work and energy work session with her. And while that was going on, her one horse, Lucky, who was actually blind in one eye, came over and um, he put his muzzle right on my elbow um, as we were working. So I had my other elbow in her sciatic notch, and my other elbow was attached to his nose. And he did not leave the whole entire session.
Oh,
So
wow.
that was a really great first time experience. So, and then recently, as I said, I went down to North Carolina. I was invited down. This he's probably 16 to 18 years old, and was at a barn, and for whatever reason, we don't know, um, deteriorated to the point where I think he just was giving up. His owners lived a couple hours away from where he was at and weren't able to see him all the time. And so then when they finally were able to spend some time with him, they realized that he deteriorated in such a way. So through, again, through Facebook, through other contacts, the owner of the horse, Marius, uh, contacted Kim and reached out to her, and they coordinated. And so Marius now has Aunt Kimberly. She actually saw him, met him, and realized immediately that he needed a change and to because the owners didn't want to give up on him. The vets wanted to put him down, and the owner was like, "No, he's got spirit, and he's got energy that he just needs a new place." So he ended up going to Kimberly's at Hotoka, and she had him for about a week before I came down. It was during that snowstorm that North Carolina had, and so I worked with him all day Saturday, bits and pieces, did a lot of energy work. He really wasn't comfortable with me with my hands yet because he just didn't really know me that well. He allowed me to do my energy work with him to the point where at 10:30 at night I was just hanging out with him, and he was eating his hay, and he turned and looked at me and pinned his ears, and he said, "I'm okay. Just can you just leave me alone and let me eat?" I'm like, "You got it, buddy." So I went up to my room and slept. And the next morning it was bright and sunny and the snow had stopped falling, and he was laying in a stall, just laid out, just enjoying the morning. And he looked up at me. He's like, "Good morning." I'm like, "Good morning." He's like, "I'm going back to sleep." I'm like, "You do that." So, what a great experience that was. And I've been doing some remote energy work with him since. And we were talking about working with people a little bit. And so the owner of Marius has a friend who has glaucoma, and he asked her, well, through her, asked if I could work with him. So I've been doing some remote healings with him a little bit to at least alleviate some of the discomfort from the glaucoma. And so I've been working with him a little bit here and there when I'm feeling up to it, and I'm in a good space. And he actually reported back that he's had some relief. So I continue to work with him too.
Yeah,
So,
remote
um,
work is
but
another thing that's amazing. Again, going back to not being limited, that a lot of this is really limited less. Yeah.
yep, I didn't believe in. Well, it's not that I didn't believe in remote. I believe in remote from like 10 feet away, 15 feet away, 30 feet away, but I didn't really like wrap my head around remote like distance, like 3,000 miles away or 1,500 miles away. And so this is a new thing for me that I'm really enjoy exploring. So it's been
Yeah,
fun so far.
I've worked on people in other states, and it's just amazing. During COVID, that's something I was really able to do for my employees. I didn't know how else to help them, so I did like a group Reiki session. We weren't even in the same place. It was amazing what each person described experiencing. They all had their own experience with it. And so, yeah, remote work is wonderful. And even like I work on horses remotely. And again, just that limitless, it's nice to feel like it's limitless, right? That you can help and you don't have to have the horse right there with you. You don't have to have the person right there with you. It's pretty awesome. Well,
Yeah,
thank you for sharing
definitely.
that. Yeah, I'm glad.